This is video 4 of our Injury, Illness, and Exposure Reporting training. In this video we're going to review one of the two forms that's used to open a workers' compensation claim. That is the SIF2 form, or the Self-Insurer Accident Report form. This form is a 4-part NCR paper. It's got a lot of fields and a lot of checkboxes and can be kind of intimidating. So we're going to look at it in some detail. In the upper left-hand corner you see a language preference. In the upper right-hand corner you see a claim number. This claim number will be used throughout your workers' compensation claim. The name and address of the city's third-party administrator for workers' compensation claims, Gallagher Bassett, is labeled attached to the form. There are fields for your name, address, city, state, zip, etc., including Social Security number. Remember, the people looking at this form don't know who you are. They can't make guesses about how your name is spelled or the digits in your Social Security number, so give extra attention to legibility when filling out this form. The next area deals with dependent children and family status. These fields are important because they play into the daily rate with which you're reimbursed for your injury. If you have more children than fields, simply draw a line through the field as depicted on the screen and add your children's name, relationship, date of birth, etc. on that smaller area. Fill out your family status. Fields for sex, date of birth, etc. are self-explanatory. You will notice on the screen 3 highlighted fields: date of injury exposure, time of injury, and when did you last work. These fields are important because they impact the timeline for your workers' compensation claim. The rest of the fields in the upper part of the form are self-explanatory. Now let's look at the bottom part of the form. The lower half of the form begins with a field asking you to describe in detail how your injury or exposure occurred. If there's not enough room in that field to give a complete description, just attach a sheet of paper with the description and make note here that you have attached that sheet of paper. There are fields for the name of the person you reported your injury to and the date it was reported. There's a field labeled if reporting of incident was delayed, why. Sometimes a delay in filling out the form is unavoidable, but a delay in reporting the injury does raise flags with Labor and Industry and with the third-party administrator, Gallagher Bassett. They'll ask why the reporting of the injury was delayed, and we simply have to have an answer. The next fields deal with the business name and the address where the injury or the exposure occurred. If your injury or exposure occurred in a fire station, then the address of the fire station would be put in these fields. If, however, you were injured on a call, then the scene address would be entered into these fields. If you were injured during training, then the address of that location would be entered into these fields. Below this area you see 3 highlighted fields that are very important. Do you consistently work overtime? Yes or no. On the fire suppression side, this would generally be answered yes. The next field is, do you have more than one rate of pay? Yes or no. The answer to this question can depend on several factors. If an individual consistently works out of class, then the answer would be yes. If a person does not consistently work out of class, then the answer would be no. This field is not asking about the difference between straight time and overtime, or straight time and time and a half, but is simply asking whether you have 2 different activities that you do at 2 different rates of pay. Working out of class would qualify as a different activity with a different rate of pay. The third question, do you have more than one employer, yes or no, depends on the individual's personal situation. If you answer yes, then additional information regarding the income from that employer will be required. This can impact the rate of reimbursement that you receive during your injury. If you do not have more than one employer, then the answer would obviously be no. The remaining fields are self-explanatory. At the bottom there's a place for 2 signatures. One is a medical release authorization, and the other one signifies that you've read the document and declare that the statements are true to the best of your knowledge and belief. Both of these areas need to be signed. Sometimes, due to the nature of the injury, the employee is not available to sign the form. In a situation like that, the BC will fill out the form to the best of his ability so the workers' compensation claim can be opened. When the employee is available, they can come in, read the form, make any changes, check it for accuracy, and sign the form. So the final thing that we'll cover is what happens to each copy. Once the form is complete, take the white copy of the SIF2 to the medical facility and give it to the medical provider. You retain, as the employee, the pink copy, and you submit the yellow and green copies to the battalion chief or the operations analyst. As mentioned at the beginning of this video, the SIF2 form is one of 2 forms that is used to open your workers' compensation claim. The medical certification form is the other form that is used to open the claim, and we'll consider that in our next video. This concludes video 4 of our Injury, Illness, and Exposure Reporting training, the SIF2 form.